Welcome everybody. This training is to go over issuing permits as a basic item within Streamline and show you exactly what is needed to move forward here with both the setting up of permits and then actually issuing one within the system. So step one here is a permit in Streamline is a lookup. So you can add these by yourself. You don't have to have us add them for you, though you can absolutely request that we do that. To start adding them, we want to go up here to the admin menu within Streamline, and then we're going to go under the lookup management submenu here.
At the bottom right there, it says I'm ready.
And then here we're going to use the permit type. And then you'll see here we have a number of permits already loaded as this is our test system. But if we were adding a new permit here, we would just simply click new. We would assign it a code. This does show on the permit report. So if this is actually related to your fire code, like you're using an FPA or the California Fire Code, where we actually do have a code associated or a municipal code, you can enter that here. A short description. This should be, short enough that it should appear on one line in the inspection report. So something like fireworks display. Oops. There we go. And group is not required. However, it can help you organize your permits if you do have a lot of different permits. If you have any groups set up, you can select it from the drop down. If not, you can simply enter it here. Right, and now I can say manage and then hit add here for there we go. Now that that is done here, I now have a group that I can select, and so I can select and put as many of these codes in here. These aren't used in the mobile application, but they are helpful if you're trying to organize your permits, especially if you have a number of them to issue. I'm going to leave that blank. And then comments. This currently does not appear on the permit report or within the mobile application, but it can be useful again when you're going through the system and trying to organize and determine which permits are where. I'm going to go ahead and hit add here. So once you've added this, there's an important next step, and it doesn't matter if you're a billing client or not. The next step is to hop up here and hit help and hit support requests and tell us that you've added an additional permit type. The reason that this is important for everyone is that the fee schedule is what does the calculation of the expiration dates for the permits. And so because of that, it has to make it through the schedule in order to actually generate the permit report at the end. So you want to always let us know when you've updated or made changes to the permits here, and you just say, permit update. I'd select who I am and then give me some details about and then you'd hit submit here, and that'll go right to me and generate a ticket so I can go, oh, okay. It would be helpful, of course, to say, okay, this is a per there we go. Per event permit, or that this is, operational permit expires 1 year and is $150, right? So I know, okay, when I go to set this up, I know not only what the expiration date is for this, but also how much it should be if there is a fee associated with it, if you are billing with us. You hit submit, it'll start that ticket, and you're good to go from there. Once you've added the lookup, then the next item here is that when you assign your inspection, of course, you'll want to make sure that you're using a template that has the permits area assigned to it. And so if we pull up our annual fire inspection here, I went to manage checklists. Here is the permits system checklist. And this is located over here under the system checklists, permits. You just drag it over to the right here. And then that's now available to issue using this permit. So here's the mobile application. This is the Windows version, but other than a few little graphical changes, this will look very familiar to anybody using our iPad application. So here I already have a inspection scheduled. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here. And so this is a really short checklist. Obviously, on the left here, you'd have your additional items for the additional things you need to check. I'm going to hit over here. We're going to hit begin. I have all of my types, so I'm going to go ahead and select this here. I'm going to hop down to permits, and I'm going to re-add that type here. Now notice I don't just have my fireworks display that I added new. I've got all of my permit types here. So I'm going to select amusement buildings. Let's say we're giving it to them today, but it's not really effective until the 1st. This is just going to be an active, and this is any notes. I'm going to go ahead and save, and now here we have this line item. If this already existed, this is the renewal toggle I was talking about here earlier. I'm going to add a second permit here so that we can see, and what we're going to do here is we're going to add this for explosives. Again, we're going to use the same issue date of today. I'm going to push this out, and we're going to say that this is going to be for the next weekend. I'm going to say active, and this permit is valid from 8 to 4, 12, 23. I'm going to hit save. And then at this point, now I've already collected my customer signature. I'm going to sign it as the inspector. I'm going to hit complete since there's nothing else here on the left to do. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and sync this. We'll let this go up here. And once it's done, we'll go up in administration, and then we'll be able to actually see the permit reports. And you'll see why I added notes to those. Okay, so that is that. So if I head back up here to administration, there's a couple of ways that I can view permits. There's an entire permits grid here within Streamline. It's great if you need to hop in here really quickly and add. Notice that I was already looking up amusement buildings from earlier. Here's my item that I just did today. So if I take a look here at the permit report, so here we have logo and information. And then here we have the permits. So here's my amusement building permits, okay? Expiration date, notes for the permit. Here's my explosives. Notice that this one did not generate an expiration date. There's nothing listed here. And that is because this one I have set up to be a per event permit. So it says, okay, you know, we've set it up for this date, but we're not going to generate an expiration date. And that's why I put this valid dates in the actual permit notes here. And then that is how you would issue a permit within the mobile application. I'm going to close this here. Notice that this did pull up both on a single, if you will, sheet of printable paper. This can actually be set to generate one per sheet. So if that's something that you need. You don't have to have them stack up here with multiple per. I believe this supports up to 8 permits on a single sheet of paper. But if you need them to be separate, we can separate them out. And so that is that. Now then, as a secondary item, of course, the responsible party for this inspection would have received not only a copy of the inspection report, but also of this permit report. And that again is a setting, and that is a fee schedule setting. I have this schedule set up currently just to send it out right away. We do have options to delay that. So if you want to wait for example, for all violations to be abated, or we would call that series complete in our world. Basically, the inspection is done, there's nothing left to do, and there's no re-inspections left to do. We can also have it wait for date paid. That is an option for you. Whether you're streamline billing or not, there is actually on the permit form a date paid option. So if I pull this up here, it's not in mobile, but it is in admin here. This is the field right here, and it can wait for that to be populated in order to generate. And then of course, the last option is we can have it never generate a report. If you're gonna have some other system generate the report, that is also a possibility for you. Here, and then that is how you look that up. Now, if you need to report against that, of course, this is a great grid. It has quite a few items. Like any grid in Streamline, there's a column chooser here, and we have quite a few items here that are available. And then secondarily as well, we also have a permit report that is available under the reporting tab for permits issued and for permit contacts. So that is the brief overview of how you would issue a permit in the field. There is one other possibility, of course, with this, and that is the inspector maybe forgot to issue the permit or didn't realize that a permit was required at the time when the inspection is done. You can add a permit to an inspection after the fact. However, if you are a fire recovery billing client, you will need to let us know that you've added that permit. The system won't send the permit after the fact. So you need to let us know about that so we can update the invoice. But to add a permit to an existing inspection, I can pull the inspection up, and there's a couple of ways to do that. I can use this inspections and completed grid here, or I can use the main properties grid and go under that. So here, if I click on this details arrow, you'll notice that I have all of these tabs here, and one of them does say permits. I can click on permits here and then click add, and I will get a very similar form to what we saw in mobile here. Same data items. The only difference here is when you're adding a permit in administration, you get these manual options for a manual expiration date and a manual fee if applicable. So here under the permit type, I could go ahead and put my explosives permit in there again, select my inspector. And again, this can be a different value than the inspector here. Best practice is always to match it to the inspector that did the inspection. Select my issue date. In this case, this was done on 3/6, so I would put 3/6 for both my issue and my effective date. You have to select a status. However, this is not currently utilized to say when to send the report or anything like that. It's just for you as an informational item. So I'm going to say that this is an active permit. And now there are modifiers here for square footage and occupancy load. These were also available in mobile. I don't have this fee schedule to take these into account, but that is an option for you. So if you do have a permit that is based on square footage, like a tent permit, or if you have an occupancy load for like places of assembly or something like that, that can absolutely be utilized here. And then I have my notes, right? And so in my notes, I said, okay, this is valid from, let's say it's going to be 3/6/2023 to let's say it's all month for 23. All right. And again, any additional notes I have here, additional items. All right. Now that I've added this, notice that again, this permit type I've set to not generate an expiration date, so it hasn't. It says issued by, there's two options here, online and manual. Manual just simply means that you've set this up as a permit after the fact in administration. Online basically means you issued it in mobile. And then here, we've got our permit number and everything went through here. Now, if I was going through this, I might decide that I do want it to generate an expiration date since I am doing this in administration. And so I could take this line out, check the box for a manual expiration, and then using my calendar, just set it to 4/6/23. Then I could hit update and that'll go through. And then that is that. As far as how you issue one in administration, if I head over here to permits now, the permit should reflect. And note that it can't generate this particular permit. If I say why, it just gives you a generic item here for print rules. And that is specifically because I have it set up to do that. And so we can move forward here. Any questions so far?
The biggest thing to understand is that to add a new permit or to add any permits, if you don't have them in there right now, it's this part about adding them into the lookup tables. So make sure they're added, the permit status and the permit types are loaded into the lookup tables, and then obviously sending you a note about making sure that they're added in the back end as well. I think that's where people have that's where people kind of trip up in this process. From what I've seen in the past, is that making sure that they're added into the lookups. So yeah, under the admin area and lookups, and not only for permits. I mean, inspection types are in here. All those things I see requests all the time that people want to add an inspection type. And in reality, you guys can all do that without contacting support at all. It's just everything's in here under these lookup tables. So in any one of those, basically, if you see a drop-down category in Streamline anywhere, and it doesn't have a selection that you want in there, that's likely a lookup table, and you can come back here into these main lookups and pretty much add in whatever you need to.
Yep, that is correct. Like I said, just when you update one, let us know so we can make sure that the fee schedule, if applicable, is updated to take these into account.
Yep, and Josh, to be clear, the only time you need to notify us when you change a lookup or add a lookup is really only in permits. If you add an inspection type, those types of things, as long as you're not billing through us, there's no need to let us know. Correct. If you are billing through us, if you are a fire recovery client as well, please make sure if you add inspection types and those types of things, please let us know. That happens often too, is that somebody will add inspection types and go in and add some things, and then the invoices don't generate, and they're confused and wonder why. And then we start to do the research and realize that there was some inspection types added that we didn't get added on our side. So.
Yep. Perfect. All right, and then.
Yeah, I still don't see any questions, Josh. So.
Okay. Well, I figure we'll open her up to everything. If you've got any questions, we always want to have everything, but at that point, we'll say permits is complete, and then we can turn the recording off if we would like, and then we'll open it up to every question. If you've got any question within Streamline, of course, just let us know.